to Siman Chaf Zayin Sif Vav. This is a super relevant halacha, and that is dealing with lefties or dealing with some ambidextrous and the definition of a righty, the definition of a lefty. So it's interesting. So the Mechaber says like this: Iter Yad. Okay, Iter Yad means a straight up lefty. Cannot do anything with his right hand. So then, Meniach Yamina Im Oisa Kol Malachta B'Smol. If he does everything with his left hand, Menicha B'Smoloi Shuyimin Shel Kol Adam. Then he puts his tefillin on his right hand because he is a straight up lefty. That's universally accepted. There's a sheet of the Ben Ishchai, the Kenzine, he should also wear tefillin on the other hand, but Pashtus is the sheet of the Mechaber. Fine. And if you're ambidextrous, which means you could do equally right and left, then Meniach B'Smol Kol Adam. Then you're a righty in halacha. It's also universally accepted. The question is, what if you have someone who for strength is one thing, but for skills, writing, he's different? Says the Mechaber. Actually, before we get to this machlokes, let's just see some Mishnah Berurahs. The Mishnah Berurah says, Iter, Yad Yamina, Afilu Nasa Iter Yidei Shehir Galatz Me'achikach, V'lei Noilid Kenyan Neich B'Yamin. Even if you're a lefty, you weren't born a lefty, but your parents turned you into a lefty because they want you to be a southpaw when you were like a kid, right? Even if you were trained to be a lefty, you're a lefty. It doesn't matter how you got there, as long as you're there, then you're a lefty. The Mishnah Berurah says, Kol Shekenim Min Hashemayim, fine. Kol Malachtoi, and the Mishnah Berurah then says in Chav Gimel, Hu Adin Afilu Roiv Malachtoi. Even if you do roiv of what you think with your left hand, you're a lefty. Fine. Now the Mechaber says like this. Shayla b'shei yadim. Sorry, Mishnah Berurah. One more halacha. Shayla b'shei yadim, and we'll get it. Ratzalei Isa kol malacha is b'shneim shava b'shava. It's the chiddush of the Mishnah Berurah. Let's say you have someone who can do both, but it is more. He is ambidextrous, but he is definitely more comfortable in the left side than the right side. Avalim nekaloi lasas b'small afshiyach lasas says gam yamin zeloi mikra shayla b'shei yadim. Then you're probably a lefty. Meaning ambidextrous means that you equally bat from both sides of the plate. But like if you have someone who's like, he technically can throw with his right hand, but it's clear his left hand is his dominant arm, then he's a lefty. Here's the shaila though. This is the famous shaila. Says the Mechaber, Im koisef biyamin. Let's say he writes with his right hand. V'shar kol malacha v'ayis b'small. But he throws the baseball, he's at strength with his left hand. Oy koisef b'small v'shar kol ayis biyamin. Or vice versa. So the question is, do you go by strength or do you go by dexterity of the writing? Says the Mechaber, Yesh oimrim she'eniach tefillin biyad shetosh koiche, dibin yad keya. The first opinion of the Mechaber is, we don't care about writing, we care about strength. Whatever is the weaker hand, that's the hand that gets the tefillin. So if you write with your right hand, but you use your strength with your left hand, you are a lefty, and vice versa. That's the first opinion of the Mechaber, it goes by strength. Then, Yesh oimrim she'yad shekoisev ba hi chashuv yamin l'ninza, and some say it goes by writing. The Gra, by the way, follows the first opinion, Lagamri. The Mechaber says the second opinion that you go by that which you write. If you write with your right hand, you're righty. If you write with your left hand, you're lefty. The Hochinog, and that's the minig. The minig is to go by writing. Writes the Mechaber and the Ramah. Now, the Mishnah Berurah says, Shetosh koichai, Ratzaloim deksiva ein lo shum maila. The first opinion that says to go by strength does not care about writing at all. And the second opinion goes by writing. Now, I'll tell you like this. Hachinog. Okay, so there's a famous tshuva from Ramosha. The Ramosha was asked the shaila, and Ramosha said it's not really clear how to paskin, because the Mechaber brings down two opinions. The Ramah himself says that we follow the second view. The Gra follows the first view, and he says I'm not going to get involved between the Gra and the Mechaber and the Ramah. So what do? Ramosha writes, when you have a situation where you don't know how to paskin, you learn the sugya yourself and you figure it out. So he says, so let's learn the sugya. It's so interesting. And he mamish, it's like 10 enough. I just will say this. There's a shita of the Bach, which is an interesting shita. The Bach has sort of this middle ground, and that is, he doesn't go by writing and he doesn't go by strength. What he does is, you are a righty until proven otherwise. Meaning, if I could write with my right hand and do everything with my left hand, I'm a righty. If I could do everything with my right hand and write with my left hand, I'm a righty. He doesn't go by strength or dexterity. He says, if you do something with your right hand, you're righty. To be a lefty, you have to do everything with your left hand. That's the sheet of the Bach. Again, different views, and that's why when these shadows come up, you have to speak to a very big paisik. My brother he was similar, and he went to Rebelsky, and Rebelsky handed him a shot glass that was on the table, and he said, throw it. And he threw it to Rebelsky. Rebelsky, and I think that the hand that he used, is he asking a lefty? I think he puts on. I thought he was right. I think he writes with his left hand, but he picked up with his right hand. Again, it's different shittas, and you have all these shittas. They're floating around, and when the shaila comes up, you ask a shaila. Okay, let's just run through Zayin Ches. Afal pi sheyesh lo adam makeh b'makom hanachas tefillin yiniach tefillin ki makom yesh b'zeraya leniach shtei tefillin ki etzem hasamach lebeis hashechim mechetzi arakuvdu hu makom hanachas tefillin. Even if someone has an injury on that part of the tefillin, you pashtus can still wear tefillin, because even if you have an injury over here, I'm pointing like to the lower part of the bicep, you can still put it on the top of the bicep, as long as it's on the first part of the slope, because there's enough room on the bicep for 2 small pairs of tefillin. So even if you have an injury, you should be able to still get a small pair of tefillin. Our tefillin maybe not as much, but the small little tefillin, you pashas have room for both. The Mechaber says in Ches, Oirech haritzua, how long does the ritzua have to be? So Oirech haritzua shel yad, because we talked about this actually, that some people, ritzuas can be very, very long. And some people that maybe don't have a longer arm will have a shorter ritzua. So what is the minute? There is a shear though. You have a shear for the ritzua. So the Mechaber says, Oirach ritzua shel yad kedei shetakif es zroya v'yiksher mimena hakesher v'timtach al etzba emtsois v'yichur mimenu al etzba shalish krichas v'yiksher. It has to be able to go on the arm, go all the way one time on, meaning on the upper arm of the bicep, all the way to the finger, 3 times on the finger, and wrap on the hand. So you don't have to do the whole 7 times. That's a chumrah, obviously, but it has to be able to. They have a picture, literally over there, arm, 1 time to the finger, 3 times to the finger. You're good to go. That's the minimum for the shel yad. The Mechaber then says, but the minig klal Yisrael is to wrap on the actual upper arm 6 or 7 times. Most people do 7, but some people will do 7 including the turn, so it's like sort of 6.5. Different shittas. The Rama writes, you should not wrap the hand on the titura to strengthen the yad, meaning the titura is the end of the box. You should not wrap it on the end of the box. We don't do that. Some people wrap it on the front part of the box, the ma'abarta, that Chabad does, but the titura, which is the end, that's sort of facing the elbow, do not wrap it on that. Let's just see the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah says, shalosh krichas, 3 times on the finger, shnayim beperek hatachtin, ve'echad beperek hamtzoi, 2 on the bottom and 1 in the middle. Some do the middle and then the 2 bottom one. And pashtus, we put this on after the shal rosh. Again, the Chaim Brisker would do it before, but the minig of Klal Yisrael do it after. Oy shiva, and the minig is to do 6 or 7. Shiva, we do 7 times. Interesting. Chabad does 3 over here. So apparently, what some people were doing are 3 over here and then 4 on the arm. No, it's got to be 7 on the arm. You want to do 3 over here in addition? Okay, sure, but not 7 on the arm. And I'll pick Kabbalah. I saw there's a video that was going on the internet. Someone, Rav Meir, brought a bacher, a 13-year-old kid, to Rav Meir, and he was each time he's like Chesed, and he said Gevura, and Tefer. Like there's Kabbalistic in Yana. Anytime you deal with 7, it's big things. And you don't wrap on the titura. Mishnah Berurah says shekvar neskayim ukshartim bertzua shalom abarta, because you don't need to, because you already have it once. K'may b'tefillin sharoy shetar bertzua shetechem abarta. V'kivan she'ein mitzvah klal b'kricha lachen ein. Meaning, why is it that you can't wrap on the titura? What's the problem? Who cares? The answer is, you only wrap on the ma'abarta, the way Chabad does. You wrap on the part by the yud, is to tighten it. And that's part of the mitzvah. Once it's already tight, then you're just putting straps on the box. The box is holier than the straps. It's a bizayon. You only do it when necessary. Because it's not necessary, therefore we don't do it. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Okay.